Bus Connects Cork, it plans to move the terminus around Grange Manor and to put 2 bus routes into that general area with very different services. And while there are other issues on down the network and they need addressing, what I want to particularly focus on is of the residents of Ovens and Grange Manor and the new homes that are being built there, who currently have a 24-hour service, 4 buses per hour through the day with a reduced at night and a direct link into the city. Under the new proposed plan, that service would be halved to 2 buses per hour, no direct link. They would have to switch buses, and the 24-hour service would not be available to them. And it's because you're moving the terminus from the western side of EMC, beside Grange Manor's entrance, and moving it over to the eastern side of EMC, a private company, and serving their needs. And the county development plan sets out that there would be considerable development in the Grange area. We're seeing already there are homes being built and residents moving in there. Surely you would be looking to give the maximum service to the residents in the area. They've already shown that they're interested in using the service. They've been using it over many years. And locals are very reasonably asking, how is this going to encourage them to move away from their cars? It's just sending the wrong message, surely, Minister. There is time before 2025 and 26 when this would be due to implement, and I would ask that that opportunity would be used to engage with the locals on the issue.
I think the specific issues you've raised here are significant, and certainly what I take from it is that I'll speak to Minister Ryan as well, just in relation to the NTA engaging again on this and looking at these issues, quite a few issues that you've raised. And I think certainly the last thing that government wishes, or certainly in terms of an overall policy, is to detract people or put barriers in their place from using public transport. It should be affordable, it should be reliable, and it should be safe, and I think that's critically important. So I think further engagement is required. Again, I can't speak specifically about the public consultation in relation to people in Cork County or officials from Cork County Council, but that's something that I think will be important as well. And I think, critically important too is what we're trying to achieve from a planning perspective is transport-oriented development, that there is transport routes, viable public transport routes, when significant new development of new homes is taking place in an area such as this. So what I will do, Deputy, is I'll take it back to Minister Ryan. I think it would be important perhaps for a process of engagement again, to see if there's a way forward, and to look at some of the suggestions that you brought forward here today are practical and they're achievable, I think, and might resolve the issues for the residents of the area.
Andreas O'Muinechan to discuss the proposed changes to the 220 bus route at Grange Manor, Oven, County Cork.
Minister, the locals in Grange Manor and wider across Ovens have been raising concerns with me about the proposed changes on the 220 bus. They've been raising it directly with me and with local councillors, Governor Moynihan, and also with McClooney, and outlining very reasonable concerns about the proposed changes. And we've been engaging with Bus Connects Cork about their proposed plan. This proposed plan would mean less frequent service to Grange Manor. It would also mean an ending of a nighttime service, and the direct route that they currently have into city centre, it would mean that they would have to change buses to be able to do that. It would also mean that if they were to go out late in the evening in Cork and were taking a bus home, it would mean that they would end up walking along the motorway ramp in darkness, around by Jim Bob's and around to Grange Cross. They're very reasonably questioning how that would encourage people to move away from their cars. They currently have the first 24-hour bus service in the country, and 4 buses per hour, with a reduced service later at night. and a direct link into city centre. And many of them have grown up over the last 20 years in Grange Manor and in the wider area, accessing school and now college and work using that bus service. The development plan outlined considerable zoned grounds around ovens, and construction is underway on much of that, for example behind Beverley and around by Jim Bob's where Codram Hall is now being constructed and occupied. And there's a huge growing population in the area. Since the public consultation began on this process, grounds have been bought by the City Council for the new schools Lechela and Lisheen's, for the new schools Lechela and Gaelscoil and Coshlan at Lisheen's, and would have a direct bus link from this area. Now, I want to acknowledge that there was a public consultation, but was a very city-based, very city-focused, and was there consultation with officials from Cork County Council, because this area is part of Cork County, and how much consideration was the county development plan and the zoned grounds there taken in? Also, Minister, the Bus Connects Cork proposes these changes in 2025 and 26. So I feel that there is time available to engage with locals and to refine and improve the plan. This proposed plan would bring a new terminus at Dell EMC, a private company, and you know that makes it more difficult for people to access. They're very reasonably questioning, wouldn't the bus service be expected to be a public service as opposed to coming into a private company? And will they be able to walk through that car park and through Dell EMC to be able to access it? In fact, that's very much part of the solution, because if you bring your bus through Dell EMC to the existing terminus at the foot of the flyover ramp, the pedestrian access, it would mean that you would be able to solve much of it, and people would be able to keep access to that bus service at the western end of EMC by Grange Cross. You could even loop it around by Jim Bob's and Beverley and bring everybody on board in that way. So the key thing that there would be engagement with locals.
I'm taking this question on behalf of Minister Ryan. From the outset, I would like to clarify that the Minister for Transport has responsibility for policy and overall funding in relation to public transport, and neither the Minister nor his officials are involved in the day-to-day operation of public transport services. The statutory responsibility for securing provision of public passenger transport services nationally rests with the National Transport Authority. The NTA works with the public transport operators who deliver the services and who have the responsibility for day-to-day operational matters. That said, I would like to reassure the Deputy that Government is strongly committed to providing all citizens with reliable and realistic sustainable mobility options, and public transport plays a key role in the delivery of this goal. To support this objective, in Budget 2024, the Department of Transport secured $613.463 million of funding for public service obligation and TFI and local link services, and we can see them expanding across the country. And this funding for the continuation of the 20% fare reduction on PSO services, the young adult card on both PSO and commercial bus services, and the 90-minute fare until the end of 2024. Funding has also been secured to support new and enhanced bus and rail services next year. As the Deputy will be aware, the Government is committed to improving public transport, both bus and rail, and is backing up that commitment with significant investment across the network. This includes the continued rollout of the Bus Connects programme. In relation to this specific question on planned changes to the 220 route at Grange Manor in Cork, I understand that there have been issues with some bus services in Cork City in recent months, and that these issues have been having a negative impact on the travelling public. It's not something we want to see happen. The NTA has advised that they are specifically aware of the ongoing punctuality and reliability issues in Cork City, and they are working closely with Bus Éireann to address these issues. I am further advised that a number of routes in Cork City that are being prioritised for planned service improvements in 2024, including the 220 route referenced in your question. To this end, Bus Éireann are working with the NTA to examine what steps can be taken to improve the service provision in the city and counter the impact of issues such as traffic congestion. The introduction of the McCurtain Street Public Transport Improvement Scheme on the 26th of November 2023 and subsequent timetable refreshes represent a significant investment in Cork City. However, I recognise there is still work to be done to build out these incremental changes. I understand that service reliability and punctuality enhancements for routes 220, 225 and 226 need to be addressed, and that these routes in particular are being reviewed by the NTA and Bus Éireann with a view towards additional timetable refreshes. Further recruitment campaigns for drivers are underway in Cork City to address shortages, which will also improve service provision in the city. Beyond that, the planned Cork network redesign will involve the creation of new bus routes and improved frequencies to help transform the public transport network to meet anticipated growth and future demand in the region. It is currently anticipated that the Cork network redesign will commence implementation from 2025, subject to funding and resource availability. These service issues highlight the fundamental importance of ensuring bus priority measures, such as those proposed as part of Bus Connects sustainable transport corridors. I also want to reassure the Deputy that the Department of Transport, the NTA and the operators are working to ensure the optimised deployment of resources across public transport network to match changing passenger demand patterns. I'll come back in.